Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this plenary session. My name is Chiaki Baba, Tokyo University of Science, and I'm the moderator of this session. Okay, now I'd like to briefly introduce Dr. Joo-Kyung Park. Dr. Park was a professor at the Department of English, Hanam University, South Korea. She retired in spring of this year and has been a freelancer since then. Her research interests include teacher education, critical pedagogy, English as a lingua franca, intercultural communication, and well-being teachers. And she has been involving in organizing Asia TEFL since its inception. She is currently co-president of Asia TEFL. Our lecture today is on ELT in higher education in Asia. Please welcome Dr. Park.
Thank you very much, Professor Baba, for a nice introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to this presentation. I will try my best to make my presentation worthy for you to take your life, despite of this typhoon approaching. So hope you like it. Well, today I'm going to share with you with the title of ELT in Higher Education in Asia, Trends, Challenges and Innovations. As Professor Baba just introduced, I've retired this past February. And but ever since then, I am even busier than before, taking too many responsibilities, thinking that I'll be free. But so this plenary is one of the things that kept me really busy. And I'm happy that my time has come. And so after this plenary, I will really enjoy this conference in Nagoya. Okay, this is what I'm going to talk about. First of all, I'd like to share a little bit of history about English associations in Asia, including JACET and Asia TEFL. And then for this particular presentation, I conducted a survey with 22 regional representatives of Asia TEFL. So I have to introduce what Asia TEFL is all about. So I'll do that, and I will share with you the purpose, participants, and results of the survey, and then conclusion and suggestions. Okay, first of all, I found out that there were ELT associations in early as 1950s. So the first one was MELTA, which is the Malaysian association, founded in 1958, which is my birth year. So I think its association is very close to me. But of course, at the beginning, it wasn't the size and scale that they have now, but they changed their name into MELTA in 1982. And then JACET, if I'm correct, it was founded in 1962. Is that right, President? Okay. And then the oldest Korean association was founded in 1965. So next year it'll be, they will celebrate 60th anniversary. And then in 1972, Taflen in Indonesia. And then in 1980s, we began to have numerous ELT associations around the Asian countries, including HAL, which is a Hong Kong Applied Linguistics Association, and then CELIA, which is a Chinese association, and then Thai TESOL, Thailand. And in 90s, ETA ROC, Taiwan, and then 1995, FIELTA, Russian association was founded. And in Korea, more than a dozen ELT associations were founded, and many more. But one thing that we need to note is that all these regional or local associations were affiliates of either TESOL International, IATEFL, or ILA. But when you say affiliate, it doesn't mean this, that you have the same right and responsibility, depending on which organization is, you are affiliate of. So for example, in order to be an affiliate of TESOL International, IATEFL, or ILA, you need to pay due. When you become a friend, you don't pay, right? So which means, I know JACET has a lot of international partnerships and affiliates, but like a Melta or Korea Tissot or Kate, we are like friends. So we are kind of in the equal level. But the relationship with these Tissot International IATF ILA, they like mother or father. So they're umbrella organization, which means in this time period, we didn't have any international organization focusing on Asia in particular. So, and then in 1997, 3 countries from Korea, Japan, and Thailand, the associations called Korea Tissot, JACET, and Thai Tissot wanted to group this Pan-Asia Consortium. And then they started to host biannual conference, rotating the venue. So the first one was held in 1997 in Thailand. And then they expanded to include ETA, Taiwan, and FIELTA, Russia, and PELT in the Philippines, and then Pan-Asia Consortium, Language Teaching Society. And then 2003, this gentleman named President Professor Joo-Kyung Lee came up with this idea that we should found one organization that can cover all the whole of Asia, and then discuss these Asian specific issues and share this knowledge and wisdom to solve the problems and issues together. And then he contacted many key leaders in many different parts of the Asian countries and regions. And 14 of individuals, but they are mostly presidents or former presidents of these local organizations. And they agreed to establish this new international organization for of Asians, for Asians, and by Asians. So that's how Asia TEFL was founded in 2003. So we started with 18 countries and regions, and now we have official representatives of 23 countries and regions. And then now I'm going to talk about how JACET or Japanese members got involved with Asia TEFL in terms of international partnership. The 3rd Asia TEFL International Conference was held in Fukuoka, but I remember the JACET was not a co-host, but the key leadership of JACET was the organizing committee, including Professor Koike, Professor Oda, Professor Yano, and those, I would say, godfathers or second godfathers. And so all generation of JACET people served as organizing committee of the 3rd Asia TEFL International Conference. So these are some of the photo clips, and you can see these people from mostly, I think they are all JACET members, right? Mostly, okay. And then I was the, before I served, no, during I was serving Asia TEFL, I was the president of Applied Linguistics Association of Korea, and then ALAC and JACET and CELIA, the Chinese association, have this ILA East Asia Symposium. Well, this morning we were supposed to have it, but it was canceled. But so it has some history. So I was part of that particular symposium in 2015, and we have Professor Hisako Yamaguchi there. And then I came back to JACET 2017 as one of the plenary symposium presenter. So this is a part of how these Asian associations collaborate for discussing the issues and resolving the problems together. Now, Asia TEFL. This is from my presidential vision and mission statements. Asia TEFL will embrace all Asian contexts and cultures, expand its scope and scale further to the whole world, continue to lead and represent the English language teaching profession globally, continue to contribute to the development of teaching and learning English as a lingua franca, continue to serve its members' needs, offer professional development in new and inspiring ways. But then one thing that I would like to focus is when Asia TEFL was founded, we used English as a foreign language. And at that time, 2003, alpha was not a big word yet. And so I think we didn't have any problem or concern with naming the organization as English as a Foreign Language Association. But now I think it's time for us to consider to maybe not change, but change the concept. Asia TEFL, not teaching English as a foreign language, but teaching English as a lingua franca. So it should be not Asia TEFL, but Asia Health, right? Okay, so, and then I think this is very unique that Asia TEFL has a dual presidency. You all know 2 heads are better than 1. So that's why we have 2 presidents. And then we have 5 vice presidents. Why? Because 5 is even better. And Professor Masaki Oda, the president of JACET, is one of our vice presidents, and he's in charge of membership. So we have these gentlemen and ladies and as our vice presidents. And then we have 23 regional representatives as of this year. We just appointed 1 representative from Oman. So now Asia TEFL covers all different parts of Asian regions, I believe. And then we've hosting our international conference, annual conference from 2003. And as you can see, Japan was the host in 2006. And we hope that Japan can host Asia TEFL conference maybe in 2026. And this year's conference is held in Chiang Rai, Thailand. Okay, so as the president, I kind of used my power to kind of convince my regional representatives to help me out with this presentation. But it's not just only for my personal benefit, but I thought this presentation will benefit all of us because we can share all this information and I will talk about some issues they raised, and we will also share what they think the resolutions should be. So I asked all the 22, the Oman representative was appointed just recently, so I didn't include him. So I asked the 22 regional representatives of Asia TEFL to participate in the survey. And the purpose was to explore the diverse and dynamic landscape of English language teaching in higher education across Asia, highlighting key characteristics, challenges, and innovations that are shaping the field. And then the second purpose was to find out some strategies and action plans that can be provided for Asia TEFL and other international and regional organizations, including JACET, in Asia, to continue to be successful and sustainable, catering to the needs and demands of the current and future members in our field. And then participants, out of 22 Asia TEFL regional representatives, and we don't have representative from Taiwan, so I asked one Taiwanese, one of my Taiwanese friends to participate in this survey. So I asked 23 of them, and then some of them invited their friends and colleagues to make their reply more reliable. And as a result, I got 18 out of 22 regional representatives, and 1 Taiwanese guest responded. You can see the name of the countries and regions. And then they invited their colleagues, and they were 14 of them. So in total, I had 32 respondents to my survey from 19 countries and regions. And then I gave them 18 open-ended questions. And number 1 was about their personal information. Out of 32, 31 people had a PhD degree and 1 had a master's degree. And then 2 instructors, 1 lecturer, 2 assistant professors, 4 associate professors, and the majority are the professors, full professors. And then they are affiliated with the departments of English or English education, applied linguistics, or language institute, or 1 person is from the administration. And then they had a very extensive teaching experience ranging from 21 years to 44 years. So it's very obvious that they are experts in ELT in their own region and country. My second question was about the status of English in their own region and country. And I gave them an example like just define the status of English in your own country or region, whether it's EFL or ESL or ELF. And then these countries, China, Indonesia, Iran, Israel, Japan, Korea, Mongolia, Russia, Taiwan, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, said they are EFL context. And then the purple countries are, they answered the same. In the previous study, 2008, conducted by Che and Lee, but then Mongolia and Russia, Uzbekistan were not part of the previous research, so they're new. But one thing that we need to take a note is that Hong Kong, in Che and Lee's study, they said it's a ESL and EFL context, but in my study, this respondent said it's ELF. And I think that's mainly because his research area, his research interest is in ELF. So maybe his perception is a little bit different from the public of Hong Kong people. I need to confirm that. But just according to his reply to the survey, he replied that Hong Kong is an ELF context. And then in the Che and Lee 2008 study, ESL, EFL context was one of the categories, but I didn't have it. Instead, the respondents said they are ESL context, including India, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka. But in, again, Che and Lee's study, only Malaysia, Philippines, and Sri Lanka, said they are ESL context. And then Singapore, interestingly, said they are English as first language context. And then EMI. So instead of ESL or EFL, they said we are EMI context. And it's an official language. And then I asked the type of the universities. Out of 32 people, they affiliated with different universities, but majority are top-tier government-funded universities, including China, India, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Korea, and Mongolia, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Taiwan, Vietnam. And then there were 3 private universities, and Iran, Israel, Malaysia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Turkey, and Uzbekistan. Those respondents replied the general trends in their countries and regions. But I mean, they are just 1 or 2 respondents, so the generalizability is pretty low, as you can guess. But my purpose is just to have a big picture. So in order to get more detailed the information, you need to have a more quantitative studies. And then I asked about aim of ELT. And then there were 2 kind of categories. The number 1 is general English skills, meaning the respondents didn't specify, but it just said we want our students to have a good communication skill. So that's, I interpret it as a general English skills. And then there were some countries that they aimed that their students achieve a higher score of some certain tests like IELTS or TOEIC. And they include Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Vietnam. And then the majority responded that they aim to help their students acquire some skills for their academic and occupational purposes. So ESP and EAP is the main aim of learning and teaching English in these countries. And then there were some countries, so the number two meaning both ESP and EAP were focused. And the number three is more focus was on academic purposes. That includes Pakistan and Turkey. And then more occupational purposes, that includes Philippines, Russia, Uzbekistan. And then I asked the number of required credits of English classes for non-English majors in order to see how committed their universities to English language education. So not only English majors, when the university has some sort of program for non-English majors, which means for all the university students, you can see how committed, how the university authorities think English important. And then I'm not going to name all the countries and numbers. You can see. So I will just pause and you can look through. Let me just talk about a little bit about Korea. Korea is used to be one of the most fervent countries about English language education. But studying with Park Geun-hye government about 10 years ago, the situation has shifted. So English is now, I cannot say minor, but it's becoming minor kind of area, meaning you cannot get grant or support, financial support anymore. So that most of the universities do not have the mega scale English program that they used to have. So English is still important, and everybody is talking about English, the importance of English, but university is not responsible educating students, but it's on the student individual responsibility. So it's a huge change. And then even more sadly, English departments, I mentioned at yesterday's plenary, more English departments are being closed down or merged with mostly AI or technology related departments, so that the ELT professionals status has changed. So it's becoming an issue. It's even an issue of survival, whether your job security. So I wonder if that is the case in your own country or region or not. Now, okay, there are some other countries required the credit of English classes. So obviously all 19 countries have some sort of requirement of the English classes. So English is important, and all these countries, the universities in these countries are concerned with English language teaching. And then now asked about the kind of English classes offered. The number one was no general English at all, but focus on EAP and ESP. So these countries. And then there were some countries that have GE, even like China and Turkey, general English is still the top priority. So there is the kind of variation in terms of the focus of ELT, depending on which country you are in. Okay, so continued. And then again, Korea, we used to have the standardized general English program. Almost all the universities in across the country But as I said, all these mega, meaning all English was required to all the students for their graduation. But now, if they have some score, like a TOEIC score over 700, or depending on which university you're talking about, then you don't have to take these English classes. Or some universities, because of the financial reason, they encourage their students to take online classes instead of in class, where your human teacher should teach, right? So that is quite a huge change. And also in Korea, ESP courses and EAP courses are offered, but not in all the universities, but mostly in major universities. Now, I asked about what kind of textbooks they are they're using. And then as you can see, mostly commercial books are used. And particularly in these countries, commercial and international publishers are used. And if you look at these countries where locally developed textbooks, I think you can say in one group, the teachers they are in ESL context. So they are confident in their own English proficiency, good enough to write their own book. Or in another group, because of the lack of finance, they cannot afford these international commercial books. So they have to develop their own material. So you can see the different reasons. So there's a discrepancy between those who have and those who have not. So this divide is not the individual level, but it becomes the all level, national, international level. And Israel, Indonesia, Korea said they are using materials compiled from commercial books, particularly during the COVID pandemic period. A lot of university professors used PowerPoint slides instead of the book. And then in order to make their own slides, they compiled all these, different materials from different books, right? And so this plagiarism and copyright issue emerged as a new kind of issue that we should think really hard how to solve this particular issue. Okay, so it goes on. And then, as you can see, in some countries, foreign authors are co-authoring the book with the local writers. Okay, let me move on. And then the next question was about who teaches English. And then I asked whether it's native, non-native, or native. And then interestingly, I think most of the people interpreted native English teachers are those who are from English-speaking countries, inner circle countries. Because, for example, like these countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they said they do not hire any native speaker teachers. But because they are in the expanding circle, Kachuruvian circle, and then they are ESL, so I assume that many of them will perceive themselves as a native English speaker, but they didn't. So they said, we do not hire native speakers at all. And then no matter how good English you speak, like a native speaker, you don't think you are a native speaker. I am still non-native speaker. So that was quite interesting to me. Philippines as well. So they said they are mostly non-native English speakers. And then some countries like Indonesia or Malaysia, Philippines, they said they have some few English language fellows from the U.S. Embassy, and that is the only group of native English speakers, speaking teachers that they have. And then Japan, I don't think I need to explain the Japanese context. Mostly Japanese nationals with Japanese L1. And then I think this is a very important reason, mostly because of the process of obtaining license. But this is for the school teachers, right? Not university. And then at the university level, native speakerism is very strong in Japanese society, I think, and like in Korea. And these countries, they have both native English speak nest and non-nest. But then again, nests mean those who are from inner circle countries, not including themselves. So Hong Kong, they said both, meaning those foreign expat teachers and native Hong Kong teachers. Israel said they have a mix of native English speaking teacher who have immigrated from an English-speaking country, and non-native English-speaking teachers, Israeli-born. So I think it's not about proficiency or anything else but their nationality, whether they were born, native-born, or from overseas. Singapore as well. Now, I asked, what is the eligibility of these English teachers? And then the majority required minimum master degree and English-related degrees, which is good. But in Indonesia, interestingly, they said overseas university graduates can teach at non-English departments, can teach English without MA in English. I think they're talking about ESP courses. So if they are expert in content and having some English speaking, the education in some English speaking countries without any English language teaching background or experience, they can still teach. So I think this is what we have in many different countries and regions, and that can create some problem, right? And this is where this collaboration between ELT professionals and non-ELT professionals between these two different groups. Okay, and then Korea, for non-nest, PhD degree is required, but for nest, MA is required. So there's a difference depending on whether you're non-nest or nest. And Korea is one of the countries where still very strong native speakerism applies to many different aspects of the Korean society. For example, recruiting expert teachers, we limit the numbers of the countries to 7 inner circle countries. And then we included India, but practically we had only one Indian teacher in the history of ELT, but he was the first and last Indian teacher teaching in Korea. Okay, and then these countries had a minimum BA requirement, but they were supposed to get an MA in 3 years, or for promotion, they were supposed to get a master's degree. But at the beginning of their job, the MA was not required. So it's a little bit, I think, not strong enough. And then medium of instruction, English only. As you can see, all these ESL contexts or where English is one of the official languages, they said they use English only. And then in China, Beijing Foreign Studies University, the top university in China, they said they have EMI, English only. And then in Korea, this Institute of Science and Technology, they have EMI policy. And then I have a chapter about this particular issue, EMI in Korean context. So if you are interested, you can refer to this chapter. And then Malaysia, they basically English only, but he very emphasized the students struggle with proficiency, meaning they have a problem with this particular policy, right? And in Vietnam, some advanced programs have EMI, but it's not for all the universities. Now, English and L1. India, Israel, Iran, and Korea has, I guess, the diverse the programs depending on the universities. So the majority of universities, I should say, Korean and English, but some use Korean only, even in English university English classes. And some universities have EMI as well. In Taiwan, English and Mandarin Chinese. And mostly L1, Japan, Vietnam, Mongolia, Russia, and Turkey. Now, I asked how many credits are required to take EMI courses as a graduation requirement. But these countries, like Beijing Institute of China, Hong Kong, Pakistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka, said they have an EMI. So it's not like some number of credits, but all the instruction is in English. And Indonesia, Russia, Taiwan, Turkey, Uzbekistan said EMI courses is not a must. It's not required. And required, but not many. So 2 courses or 6 to 15 credits or 9 or so this number. And then I asked, what is the major characteristics of ELT in your country or region? And then focus on English proficiency for academic and professional purposes. We already seen this before. So these many countries said their ELT is focused on EAP and ESP. And then certain test scores to be submitted as a graduation requirement. And even some country universities have this test preparation classes as at the university level. And interestingly, this Beijing Foreign Studies University students are highly motivated. I hope that all universities like that. And in one of the most significant characteristics of ELT these days is integrating technology. And then research and teaching focus on local context and an EMI. And about the instructional approaches and methods, you can read it. But in general, now there's a shift from the traditional ELT methods, including lectures, to some sort of communicative language teaching or more innovative methods. So there is a shift, and yet we have new sets of problems as well with these, particularly with CLT. And there is a question whether CLT really proper for Asian context and Asian students. And we have some studies about Korean learners as well. And then student-centric, student-centered methods are becoming big in Korea, Singapore, and Uzbekistan. And blended learning, particularly during and after COVID-19, we have more blended learning than before, and digital learning skills are being focused. And then I've asked about evaluation methods. Again, it's a diversity or a set of, not just 1 or 2, but it's a set of different methods. So we still have common like exams, midterm exam, final exams, but at the same time, we have a lot of formative assessment as well. And then I asked about how much technology do you integrate into your ELT programs? And then some countries said they are still at the early stage of integration, including China, Uzbekistan, and Iran, India. And then increasingly integrated, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Mongolia, Israel, Japan, Malaysia, Taiwan, Vietnam. And then highly integrated, Singapore, Korea, Philippines, Turkey. We have 2 Singapore because I had two different respondents. Okay. Now, I asked, what are the challenges then in implementing effective ELT programs or methods. And then the number one was resource constraints, the limited funding. Iran, India, Indonesia, Israel, Korea as well. Like I said, in Korea, particularly, whenever you have new government, policies change. So you have to start from scratch. And so under some government, you have humongous fund. So you cannot possibly use it over 1 year. But some other government, you don't get nothing. You don't get anything. So that kind of huge change. So then what happens? People do not have a big expectation, and they just do not want to do anything. Just wait until new government starts, and then see what kind of new changes they will face. So that's a very unfortunate thing. And then systemic issues, limited access to resource and technology, and large class issue we still have. And systemic issues, meaning still standardized testing is very focused, so that some innovative methods cannot be adopted and implemented. And bureaucracy, particularly like countries like Korea, all the policies are top down. So without or before you are actually prepared, some new policies are implemented very forcefully. So that creates a huge problem. And native speakerism and heavy reliance on high-stakes states like Japan, Korea, Philippines, and policy making initiated by government, and not many experts, ELT professionals get involved when they make the new policy. And another challenges include cultural factors like limited exposure to English, mostly the traditionally EFL context, like the number of lessons at schools is very limited, things like that. And cultural attitudes also, like in Korea is a very advanced country. So you can see a lot of change in their behavior and attitudes, but still in the classroom, not many students raise their voice. They're still very passive. So it's a very cultural, very deeply rooted kind of culture. And the linguistic and socio-cultural diversity at the classroom, like India. And student-related challenges, limited English proficiency. So that is one big problem to implement the EMI. And limited hour English classes, and lack of motivation, and irresponsible use of AI. I think this has become a big issue for all of us. And heavy workload in some countries. Another challenges, teacher-related challenges. Because of the negative influence of native speakerism in Korea, for example, teachers actually, in order to become an English teacher, you have to pass a very competitive national exam, and then they have to go through this English teaching demonstration and English interview, so that the majority of Korean English teachers' English proficiency is really high, and yet their confidence and self-esteem is very low. Why? Because they always compare themselves to native speaking teachers. And then they still think their English is their model. So this is a problem. And the limited access to professional development and lack of motivation and support and this. Now, I've asked, then what kind of innovations have you had in your country and region in terms of ELT? Number one was integration of AI and technology. And then shifting from traditional to emerging ELT method. Currently, I am co-editing a book about innovation. And then the case of Korea, and I got chapters on these topics ranging from peace building purpose writing courses, which is very new, or localized adaptations of critical literacy practice, which is also very new and innovative, integrating context and language in higher education, like CLIL, and AI-assisted content language integrating learning, and Chat GPT and Google Bard and critical project-based language learning, or flipped learning. So all these, just by looking at these topics, it seems like a lot of new like innovations are happening, even though we still have very persistent problems and issues. And then curriculum and syllabi development and fostering students' moral character. I think this is one of the new things that we are having now. Now schools are focusing on building students' character. And I think mainly because compared to like a old generation, like my generation, we didn't have that many psychologically troubled students, but now we have a lot. And so starting early 2000, Korean Ministry of Education very emphasized on building students' character. But I found out that Korea is not the only country. Okay, and then focus on ESP and needs analysis, like Iran and Sri Lanka. And another main innovations include promoting learner autonomy, like a learner-centered learning, and research and international collaboration. I think this is another big, it's not really new, but the implementation of the actual international collaboration is happening a lot. And then adherence to the internationally recognized European CFR standard of language proficiency, like in Israel or Malaysia. But again, in Malaysia, even though they have this, but not much change they have seen yet. And then change in the perceptions of ELT. I think this is the biggie. Particularly in Japan, I really admire Professor Masaki Oda. In his university, they have ELF program. And I think that's very, very unique. And I hope that someday in the near future, Korea could have that program. And Singapore, more open to accepting many varieties of English as a standard and proper in their own right. I think that's interesting because to my understanding, Singaporean government focuses on the standard English and kind of discouraging people to use Singaporean English, right? Singlish, but the respondent said it's now more open. And professional development teachers and language labs and multimedia resources. Now, how long do I have? Am I doing okay or 10 minutes? Okay. And then they made some suggestions for ELT associations like Asia TEFL or JACET or many other ELT associations, how to please our members and make ourselves as associations successful and sustainable. Number one was to focus on the core purpose of teaching. This was raised by particularly the Hong Kong respondent, and he very emphasized the need of our focus on our students. I mean, the need focus needs to be on caring our students. So next year's not 24, 25, 2025 Asia TEFL conference theme is care, innovation, and sustainability in ELT. So it's not common to use care as part of conference theme, but we intentionally included it as a way, an effort of bettering our students. And promote professional development opportunities by hosting more frequent workshops and seminars. And now Asia TEFL has a webinar series and 4 times a year. And then they wanted us to continue the webinar. And then through webinar series, promote a variety of Asian presenters and have a regular affordable seminars and conferences, right? and inexpensive or free webinars or seminars, and facilitate networking and collaboration. As an example of this, in 2020, we had Asia TEFL has a hybrid conference, and then as part of the conference, we had a Asian Teachers Forum, and school teachers from 6 different countries, they talked about their own struggles and how they resolved those problems online, because it was during the COVID-19, but it was a huge success and people wanted to continue the same program. And we are planning to do that. And support research and publications or develop resources and guidelines. And then this one, develop common Asian frameworks of reference to be used by its members, or set standards of global ELT education. Actually, Asia TEFL has tried to start this project, but we couldn't continue because it takes a lot in terms of, the personnel and finance and all. But we hope to be able to set the standards of global ELT education, particularly the focus, something that we can use for Asian learners. Now, advocate for policy and advocacy, or offer micro credentialing and certification programs like TESOL International offer these the certificate programs. So they want us to do the same thing. And I hope we can do that. Create online communities of practice, or create special interest groups, or we have research network and we call it REN, and we'd like to expand it to involve more teachers and researchers. And address diversity and inclusivity, offer mentorship programs, particularly as one of the retirees. I retired this past February. I've been hearing about this mentorship program, because even after you retire, if you are still workable physically, mentally, psychologically, you don't just stay at home and doing nothing, but kind of donate your talent and your experience to those who want and need you. So a lot of people mention this mentorship programs. And then monitor and respond to emerging trends, and initiate and sustain a targeted discussion on the benefits of AI in language education, because this is a very emerging issues, and sometime in the near future, we need to resolve these issues by discussing and working together. So I'm still getting more responses to my survey. So this is not the final the result, but so far, based on the results that I got so far, I made this conclusion and suggestions. Number one, ELT in higher education in Asia has such a diverse and dynamic landscape. And we have a lot of emerging trends, challenges, and innovations that you have just heard. And then the integration of English as a lingua franca into Asian higher education systems is crucial. But as we just seen, I think the perceptions of Asian learners and teachers about English as a lingua franca is still very weak. And so EFL, English as a foreign language, is still there. So I think that's some kind of starting point that we should work. And then teachers need to be empowered to become agents of change, so that they can prepare their students for the complexities and opportunities of a globalized world. And also, you cannot do it by yourself. You need your partners, supporters, collaborators. So global, local, national, international collaborations and partnerships are inevitable in order to achieve our common goals in reaching ELT practices and better preparing our students for the demands of a globalized world where we are in now. So this is all I have. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. These are some of the references you might be interested, particularly learning about Korean context. And we are having 2024 Asia TEFL Conference in Chiang Mai in November. So I hope that I can see you in Chiang Mai in November. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Park. And we have 5 minutes. So if you have some questions or comments, so please let me know. Okay. Okay. Kip.
Thank you very much for a very good overview of ELT and higher ed in Asia. So as you know, I'm very interested in youth exchange programs. And before COVID, we were active. My particular project was AYF, Asian Youth Forum. Instead of taking students off to the US or to England, to bring Asian young people together, university students, and use English as an Asian language for interpersonal friendship, intercultural understanding, and a sense of Asian citizenship. So I'm curious about your thoughts, looking again with your contacts in Asia, have there been some interesting innovations post-COVID where we can now bring Asian students together using English as a language of intercultural understanding? Do you see potential for Asian youth exchanges, not only online, but face-to-face? What kind of challenges do you see? I'd be interested in your experience and your thoughts.
And certainly, I think we can start with online meetings first because of the financial issue. I remember I am very familiar with the IYF. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do in Asia TEFL, but it does need money, right, to bring all these young kids. So, but online meeting will be easier. So I think we can definitely start with the online meetings. And then hopefully get some sponsors and then have in-person meetings as well later on.
Any other questions or comments?
Over there.
Thank you very much for your very informative, comprehensive presentation. I'm curious, maybe you addressed it in yesterday's seminar. Why is it that there's a shift away from focus or funding for English education at the university level?
The government.
Yeah, but why? Like I always thought of Korea as being very focused on English education.
One thing
right.
is, I think this is not only Korea, but many governments, when they take their seat, they want to do something opposite to what their previous government did. So I think that's one thing. It's ridiculous, but because the previous government focused almost too much on English education, the following government didn't want to do the same thing. And that's how, to my understanding, began. They cut all the funds for English programs.
Political.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And then another thing in Korean context, not the academic associations want to raise their voice and then enter this arena of political arena, even though we strongly feel the necessity of raising our voice and for the educational purpose. So it's really difficult to make the proper things happen, but we definitely should try harder.
Okay. Any questions?
So thank you so much for coming. And I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So if you have any questions, then you can talk to me after this plenary. And I'll stay until the end of today's program. So thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Park, and thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everybody.